Thank you for that. The topic of how to raise an extraordinary child is such a large topic that I can only pick one aspect out of it tonight. But I want you to imagine, as I tell you two stories about two children and their families and the journey that they've been through, and just to put yourself in their shoes and in their places. The first child is a girl, a 9-year-old girl in a nice middle-class family who has two parents, as many of our families do, who does well at school, a nice B-grade student, a nice pretty girl, if you can imagine a nice 9-year-old girl. Raised up a single child in a family, and then one day, as she's going to school, her parents come along and talk to the class teacher as she comes in and leaves a suitcase. This 9-year-old girl was abandoned by her parents on that very day, but didn't even have the courage to talk to the child about it. She left at that end of the day. The teacher actually spoke to her and said, these people are going to come and take you and look after you for a while. And she went from foster home to foster home to foster home for a couple of years. During that process, on the first day, and within 24 hours, she lost her parents. She lost her classmates, her friends, because she was transferred out of school and across town. She lost the caring teacher that she had. She lost everyone that she had in her life that meant anything to her. She lost everyone in her life that spoke words of encouragement to her. She went from someone who had hope, she went from someone who had love and care and a purpose in life, to someone who had nothing. At the age of 9, she had purpose. She had a reason to live. By the age of 10, she had nothing. She had no family. She had no friends. She had no one left who could care for her. She went from being able to say, I am wonderful, I am unique, I am beautifully made, I am pretty, to being able to say, I am nothing, I am worthless. By the age of 12, 3 years after, she was looking for any kind of acceptance, any kind of love that she could get. The first positive word she'd heard in 3 years was from a boy a couple of years older than her that said, you're pretty. And because of that hunger that we have for love, that hunger that we have for any kind of acceptance, she gave that last piece of innocence to that boy. A year later, he dumped her to move on to the next girl, as tends to happen or can happen at times in relationships, but he'd stolen that last piece of innocence from her. By the age of 14, she was after any kind of attention that she could get at all. She'd started experimenting in alcohol, started experimenting in some drugs, and at the age of 14 that she realised that she could get an audience from self-harming herself. She became one of the 10,000 young people under the age of 24 each and every year who self-harm themselves enough that they will be hospitalised. By the age of 15, she'd done the ultimate in getting attention and committed suicide, become one of 95 young Australian girls who give up hope and commit suicide. One of the young people under 24, each and every day in Australia we have one person under the age of 24 who commits suicide. She'd just lost everything. I'm going to tell you a story about another young person. A young person, a 9-year-old or so boy, who comes from a family, 3 brothers, a couple of brothers, in a poor family living on the edge of town, who they live in a 2-bedroom kind of shack, if you want to call it something. Mum, Dad don't work. They don't really have purpose in life. They don't really have a vision for where they're going. Until one day, a teacher spoke into their lives and spoke into the boy's life and spoke words of encouragement, gave him a reason for existing, told him that he was valuable, told him that he was unique, gave him the words that I am extraordinary. and it gave him a sense of purpose. He could do extraordinary things. He could be extraordinary in everything that he does. And he took that message to heart. He's one of our few young people that have taken it really to heart. And he started to apply it in his life. The teacher encouraged him each day, several times a day, to look into the mirror and say, I am extraordinary. I can do extraordinary things in everything that I do. His life transformed from that. We witnessed earlier that the video of how that self-awakening, that self-awareness stirs up some self-belief and the eyes glow. I've seen the boys' eyes and they glow with that self-belief that I can be extraordinary, I can do anything, I can change the world. One day at school, he was caught in the girls' toilets, and schools being schools, teachers kind of concerned about that. They pulled him out, marched him up to the office. Please explain yourself. Unfortunately, the school had a principal who took the time to listen and hear his side of the story and listen to him. And his story went like this. I was trying to pass on this message of being extraordinary, of being able to do extraordinary things. And in doing so, I was talking with one of the little prep girls and encouraging her to each day look into the mirror and say, I can be extraordinary, I can do extraordinary things. And she'd gone into the toilets to do that, to look into the mirror and say, I can do extraordinary things. And she'd come out in tears because she was not tall enough to look into the mirror and say, I am extraordinary. So he did what any boy would do, went in there, picked her up, lifted her up, so that she could look into the mirror and say, I'm extraordinary, I can do extraordinary things. And that's when he got caught. It moved the principal so much that the principal actually put new mirrors into the school down lower so students could actually look into the mirror. The young students just beginning their life could look into the mirror and say, I'm extraordinary, I can do wonderful things. He believed in saying it with a passion, with meaning, to have a real difference. If you can imagine and put yourself in his shoes, put yourself in his family's shoes. One night, sitting around a dinner table, he got up from the dinner table and went into the bathroom to look into the mirror and say, I'm extraordinary. Middle of the meal, left it all. Parents were a little bit confused. Imagine if your child got up in the middle of a meal to go and look into the mirror and say, I'm extraordinary, I can do extraordinary things. And they kind of questioned him, but never actually got the concept. They came in and spoke to the teacher at the school that had been sharing and developing this concept, this idea of being unique, being able to do anything, being able to achieve anything. And the father caught the vision, and it transformed his life. He went from, in our society we'd call him a no-hoper, I suppose, for someone who didn't have a purpose, didn't really have a life, went through the mundane of waking up, sending kids off to school, watching TV, doing not much with life, having a drink, that type of thing, to all of a sudden catching a vision, catching an idea, catching a purpose for his life. Almost immediately after, he was discovered having cancer in his life, in his lungs. And he went through a 6-year battle. But through that 6-year battle, he never lost thought of a vision, of a hope, of a purpose that he caught in an instant. He still spoke life into his family, into his sons as they were growing up. He just recently was cleared of the cancer and begun building a heritage, I suppose, for his family, for his sons, a purpose. But he's always had that word of encouragement, that desire to impact on the student, on his children's life. Just recently, just this week, some of us would have been watching a football game, a State of Origin game. And when we're watching that game, the Queenslanders come out and they beat their chest and yell out, Queenslander, Queenslander. And I was at a sporting game not long ago where I saw this young boy, 6, 7 years down the track, and he came out saying, I'm extraordinary, I can do extraordinary things. And on the sporting field that day, he did do extraordinary things. And as you look at his life, he's had a purpose, he's had a drive now to live. He's got a purpose behind his life and a reason for existing. He's got that thirst. He's taught himself, or with his teachers, taught himself to be able to read, taught himself that he can make a difference in other people's lives. So how do we go about raising an extraordinary child? It's not about money. It's about time. It's about having people in your life, in children's lives, that can make a difference, that can speak encouraging words into their life, that can speak words that will build up. In Australia, we have a tendency to pull people down, to take the mickey out of other people, to make fun of them. But in reality, we should be building people up with our words. We should be encouraging them to go on. We should be doing this with our children. We should be building a purpose, a vision in their life. It was once said that without a vision, the people will perish. And I'm saying tonight, without a purpose in life, people go through a meaningless life. Without a purpose, children grow up not knowing what to do. As an older audience here tonight, we have a responsibility as community members to speak into the lives of children, to speak into people's lives and encourage them and to support them and to help them make a difference. We've heard videos tonight of people saying that their generation will not be able to make a difference. But it is our generation that needs to be making a difference in the next generation. Imagine, if you will, for a moment, imagine the difference that would have happened in that little girl's life if someone had taken the time to speak an encouraging word, if a responsible adult had taken the time to speak into her life and say, you are valuable, you are wanted, you are loved, you have a reason to live. Imagine the difference that would make in that girl's life. I want to encourage you tonight to speak out. But more than that, I want you to take away a message that you are extraordinary as well, that you can do extraordinary things. Often, and particularly in Australia, particularly with males, and I work with a lot of males, we doubt our ability to be extraordinary, to make an impact in people's lives. We doubt our self-worth. And our boys are doing the same thing. Our boys are looking for those figures in their lives that will make a difference, that will speak those words, that will be those fathers to the fatherless, those uncles to those that have no males in their lives, to stand up. But often we doubt, as men, we doubt our own ability to be able to stand up and say, I'm extraordinary, I can do extraordinary things, I can make a difference in this person's life. So I want to challenge you tonight, I want to get you to actually do something for me, to actually believe yourself that you're extraordinary. So this is the active part of the night. This is where you get to say, I'm extraordinary. So can you do that for me? Can you say, I'm extraordinary? Now can you say it with some belief and some meaning and some gusto, because it's okay saying a couple of words, but unless you actually believe it, it doesn't really change anything. So can you say it with a little bit of gusto and a little bit of meaning? I'm extraordinary. I'm extraordinary. We're getting there, okay? It works better with kids. They kind of get, I coach a football team and they will get out there, the boys will get out there on the oval, and I'll say, the principal's office is 100 metres that way up on the school oval. She needs to hear you. And they will get out there and they will go, I am extraordinary. and it'll ring out. Yeah. So, with some feeling, some emotion. I'm extraordinary. Not sure. Do you believe that you can actually make a difference in someone else's life? Do you believe you can make a difference in a young person's life? Do you accept the challenge then to make a difference in a young person's life? If you can do that, then it makes the job of raising children a community thing, and it makes it a lot easier for everyone else. And it makes that purpose in children's, it makes children, or gives children a purpose for living. And maybe, just maybe, we'll see some of the sad statistics that we see drop away and fall away. Thank you very much.